Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All
one of resistance.
we are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We are back and better than ever, ready to have some fun discussing the latest episode of The Bad Batch, which, of course, is Retrieval. So let's not hold back. Let's get everything going here. My name is Aaron Harris. I'm one half of your hosting team, your hosting duo, or whatever you want to call us. That's what we are. As long as you don't call us late for dinner, then I'll be disappointed. Anyway, like I said, my name is Aaron Harris, and joining me, just Carabast.
Carabast.
I normally don't crack myself up like that on these intros, but
Less than a minute and we got a Carabast.
awesome. Oh, Lord. David Motters is my co-host. He's joining me. He's back. Welcome, David. How you doing, brother?
Good, buddy. I'm ready to react. I'm ready to laugh with you. Ready for Carabast moments. And and ready to react to this episode of The Bad Batch Season 2.
Hoorah. Yes, it's going to be a good one. A good one. We got a lot for you in this episode. We're going to start off with reviewing The Bad Batch episode Retrieval. Then we are going to discuss our future plans there at the end of the episode, because as you know, March is coming up. Actually, as you are listening to this, it is March 1st. So we got some March Madness plans coming for you, and we want to let you know about those at the end of the episode. So let's go ahead and just jump into this review and get stuff rolling. You ready, Dave?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right. We are discussing Retrieval. This episode of The Bad Batch was released February 22nd, 2023, directed by Stuart Lee, and written by Moises Zamora. I like that. That actually flows pretty smoothly, too.
Yeah.
Moises Zamora. Wonder if he's related to Gamora.
That'd be pretty cool.
Squirrel! Anyway.
Well, and you made me think.
Actually, that would be more like raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon. Yeah. You got me thinking about Nathaniel Villanueva whenever you say
Oh,
his.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Villanueva.
Yes.
Nathaniel Villanueva. I don't know. It's just something Villanueva.
Yeah.
It just flows so nicely.
Yeah, cool names.
Yeah. Anyway, back on topic.
Sorry.
It's all good. I distracted myself. So, rocket. Anyway, in this episode, the Bad Batch tracked down the Marauder, which was stolen in the previous episode, The Crossing. And they tracked it down by an ingenious plan by one Omega to track Gonki's tracker signal, because Gonki, the Gonk droid, was still on the Marauder. So thanks to Gonki, the Gonk droid, they were able to. There's a lot of Gonki in this review, in this synopsis. But thanks to Gonki, the Gonk droid. It's like, how many times can I say Gonk in one synopsis? Just going for a record here. Anyway, they they track it down, track the Marauder to a small-time underworld boss named Mako and his goons, and then they have to, of course, take them on in order to get the Marauder back. So let's jump into our initial reactions. David, brother, why don't you kick it off for us?
All right. Speaking of the previous one, I did enjoy The Crossing, but again, clearly that to me, in my humble opinion, was a step down from the previous two episodes, which were excellent, right? That was Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences. This episode, Retrieval, again, in my humble opinion, is a step down from The Crossing. And I have to admit, I'm surprised on how far off it is from the quality of Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences. I was listening to some other podcasts, kind of like Greg McLaughlin and Greg Cass do on Rebel Base Card podcast when they talk about other podcasts. I was listening to a few, and I heard some of them talking about having less than 16 episodes. And I think I agree. Like, I know Mando coming up is going to be 8 episodes. First 2 seasons were 8 episodes each of The Mandalorian. I think 8 would really, 8 really good ones of the Bad Batch. I would take that over some of these. But anyways, those are just some of my initial thoughts. Glad they got the Marauder back and got Gonky back. And so that's about the best parts of it. So there you go. How about you, buddy?
Well, for me, my friend, it was a decent episode. I'll put it at that. It had some good parts in it. Some of the comedic elements were actually spot on and actually carried the episode. Got some little bit of comedy from Tech and Wrecker there. And I enjoyed the exploration of home and what people consider home. But overall, honestly, I found the episode lacking. To me, I enjoyed The Crossing. I thought there was a good story to tell there. But this, to me, felt very plot-wise, felt very basic, very straightforward, very simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, it just, I felt like it could have been a little bit more substance and complexity to the escape from the planet and the recovery of the Marauder than what we actually got. But it was decent. It's not the worst thing I've ever watched, but it definitely is probably one of the worst Bad Batch episodes I've seen, to be honest. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Right.
So, but let's talk about it, because there are some high points in this episode, and let's hit on those right there. Let's talk about Mako and his whole mining operation. Of course, last in The Crossing we had that kind of nod to the Lion King with the whole stampede in the gorge thing. In this one, we find out Mako and his operation are basically, it's an old Techno-Union mine from the Clone Wars that he basically took over when the Techno-Union pulled out after the Separatist defeat. And it basically has been kind of just taken over and skimming profits and keeping everybody in slavery. And the way with Mako pretty much running everything and having all these children basically running the mine, I got 2 feels to it. One, it reminded me of, and I just blanked on her name, the slug lady from Solo.
On
Corellia.
Lady Proxima.
Proxima, that's it. Proxima.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of felt like that, but it also kind of gave me the Children of the Mind feel from Temple of Doom.
Yes.
So it had those kind of feels to me, which made it quite unique, because I really enjoyed both of those movies. And Mako was just a character from the first moment he walked on screen. They did a really good job making you not like him.
Oh yes.
he was one of those characters. As soon as he walked on screen, before he even as he opened his mouth, you did not like him. So they did a good job in that. What were your thoughts on Mako, his operation is set up, and how he's running things there on that planet?
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, now you want to talk about something really good, not good, but really good that they did. They really make him out to be just such a low life.
Jerk.
Jerk. When my friend Courtney always calls people jerk face, so he's being a jerk face in this whole thing, Mako.
We're a family show. Let's keep it clean.
Right. Well, face. That's jerk face. It's not too bad. That's how we say it. You can call people that, but not other names. But no, and they do a great job. And one of the scenes is when they show him eating all kinds of food, and then he just gives them a bowl of soup, or whatever it was, colored water. And so yeah, they do a great job of that. It made me think about something, buddy, when you were describing his operation. You think sometimes, well, let's clear these people out and something will be better. That I heard some people talking the other day. It's like, why doesn't someone try to take out Putin? And I'm like, well, I'm guessing there's people trying to do it, probably. But then the question you have to ask yourself is, who's behind him? I mean, he's KGB, and like, what would he be like? In this case, you got Mako coming in, and he doesn't run this situation any better than probably the separatists did, So yeah, be careful what you wish for sometimes on some of these things, but definitely the bridge scene there at the end, like I guess they said, at least they didn't cut the two ends, and it swings down and around. But yeah, the creators of the Bad Batch definitely do their homages to other Lucasfilm creations, and that's pretty cool. I like that.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, they do. I mean, I love how this season they've been doing that with these episodes. They've been adding people in, or doing little homages, I should say, to the show, to different movies and properties, which they've done quite well this season.
Oh, completely agree.
So one of the other things I really enjoyed about this episode was Gonki. Gonki, played a pivotal role because that's how they tracked down the ship. But other than that, that's pretty much all he was in it. But I love the fact that, Mako gives Benny, who actually stole the ship, Gonki as a prize per se, and Gonki's like, well, I guess I could just sell you off for parts, and because you really ain't worth anything, busted gonk droid, it really isn't worth anything. And I love it as Hunter walks up and he's like, that's our busted gonk droid.
Yeah.
It just that whole scene was priceless. You got the thief who has stolen property. The owner shows up, the thief takes off running, only to get clobbered by Wrecker as he rounds the corner on his speeder. The whole thing was just kind of comical. Yeah. And I want to say it's something I've seen in multiple cop movies and stuff like that. But I got a good kick out of that particular scene with Gonki, and just having Gonki in it in general. Walking, it's not every day they can incorporate a gonk droid walking around just constantly going gonk, gonk, gonk into an episode without it getting annoying, and they actually played it perfectly in this episode.
Yeah, well, and it ties into your the one of the talking points you put in here about family and home, and I think about, like you said, Hunter's reaction, like, hey, that's our broken down, dilapidated gonk droid, but we love them, and that's family, that's home. Like Gonki is part of their family, and And you know, and it speaks to the issue of, you know, none of us are perfect, and we still love each other. That is part of
Mm-hmm.
the right. Even if we have our faults or we're broken down or not working so well, like Gonky, family still loves you. Where the world might not, but family does. And so, yeah, I think of Gonky as part of that family, and part of the home that Omega knows on the
The
Marauder.
Marauder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and we can go right into that point of home and family, because that becomes a point in this episode where we have Omega and Benny, the thief, who is helping them recover the Marauder, somewhat against his will, but I think he actually comes around to him there by the end of the episode. But they're having a discussion about how she's talking about the Marauder is her home. You know, it's the only home they have. It's all they have. It's their home. Because you think about it, all she knew before the Marauder was Topeka City, which is now lying at the bottom of the ocean thanks to Rampart. So her first home was destroyed. She now has the Marauder, and that's her home, and the Clone Force 99 is her family. And she's got that home, and now it's missing, and they're trying to recover it. And then we have Benny, who by the end of the episode, they're like, you know, you can leave and go anywhere. You come with us, whatever you want. And he's like, no, this is my home. And he goes, I don't know anything other than this. None of us do. This is all we know. And now that Mako's gone, we can all get even shares. We can't, because Mako, of course, was, you know, screwing them out of their earnings for what they were doing. But we have that you know, home. People, you know, you see that in places. I know we live in Florida. If everybody doesn't know, Dave and I live in Florida, and we see that all the time here in Florida during hurricane season. There's a storm coming, mandatory evacuations, get away, get out while you can. You have to leave, and you have these people that stay, and they always get on the news. Why did you stay? Why didn't you go anywhere? This is my home. I have nothing else. I'm not going to go anywhere. This is my home. I'm going to stay. I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to do what I can to defend my home.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to give up on it and tuck tail and run. And we experience that firsthand here in Florida with every time a hurricane comes through. But to see it played out here in this episode was actually one of the few things in the episode I really connected with. What were your thoughts on the whole topic of home and family that played out in this episode?
Well, right. You know, no, and I'm with you. You know, like Aaron said, it's, I was talking to my sister. She's in Michigan. It's cold and a lot of snow and overcast. And, you know, we talked about how, you know, winter months, you know, she doesn't really want to be up there. I tell you, August, September, those are the rough months for Aaron and I, where you're just wanting your home to be safe. So no place is perfect, but it is so critical to have a place to call your own, to have a home, and to have a family in it. Going back to what I covered in my psychology corner in the last episode, coming back down from Michigan, with everything, you know, that was involved there with my mom and her illness and her passing, being able to come back to my home here and my family was an incredible protective factor. Our listeners have heard me talk about risk versus protective factors, but having a family, a supportive family, and having a home are incredibly helpful to people. And, you know, the creators of the show are showing that. You know, and I do think, obviously in the previous episode, The Crossing, they've got Omega talking with Tech, and of course we discussed that about Echo staying with Rex, and how, you know, Omega's family is changing and how that is tough for her. However, I think that, you know, when you see the family changing and her losing the home here, at least for a brief period of time, you know, it's it's showing her how tough it is to live life. But if you stick with it, you'll be okay. So we're seeing our heroes challenge, and in particular Omega, when it comes to family and home. And I do agree with you. That's a highlight of last episode, The Crossing, and this episode.
Very good. Very good. I think it'll be interesting to see how it continues to play out from here, because, home is going to be an issue because they're running out of places they can run. So
right, that's right.
But it'll be interesting to see. I do want to talk about Benny for a little bit, and he interesting character. To say the least. He's the one that ended up stealing the Marauder in the crossing. I don't know how I blanked on that.
No.
But he stole Marauder in the crossing, and like I said in our last review, he kind of was dressed up a little bit like Hondo, so I kind of was having some Hondo hopes, but those hopes were dashed, and I got a Benny.
He's no Hondo.
He's no Hondo.
Nope.
But he did remind me of DJ.
You mean look-wise? I was wondering about that because they put a character poster out of him, you know, and when I saw that you put this, I'm like, huh? Is it? Or you tell me what are your how so, brother?
Well, with when you look at the story of what happened in this episode with Benny, he stole the ship, got caught, and so now he's trying to help them recover the ship, ends up crossing them before he comes back and helps them. He reminded me just somewhat of DJ from The Last Jedi. If you're not familiar with the character of DJ was played by oh my gosh,
I'll help you. I'm here to help. Benicio del Toro.
Del Toro, that's right. Benicio del Toro in The Last Jedi. And he was the code breaker that Finn and Rose busted out of jail on actually he busted them out of jail on Canto Bight with the help of BB-8, and got them into Snoke's ship. But just the whole way he's helping them, he still helps them after knowing he's already double-crossed them, and is literally still watching out solely for himself, not the people he's running around with, which is what Benny does in this until toward the end, when he has that change of heart and he comes back around and helps them leave. And part of me wonders if it wasn't done necessarily because of what necessarily a change of heart in wanting to help them, but more of the fact that Omega found the data that said, hey, you know what? He's really ripping y'all off. It was more of revenge on Mako. But just in the way he dealt with the Bad Batch reminded me a lot of DJ, just very double-crossing, sneaky, slimy feel.
Yeah, no, as you started to describe it, I'm like, yep, playing both sides. Yes, very good catch on that, buddy. I didn't think about that, but now that you say that, I really do. I hear you. And I'm telling you, that character poster, they put it out, different character posters after each episode. I kind of could see Benicio del Toro in his face. But that was my quick take, but I like yours better.
Yeah. Hey, for all we know, Benny grows up to be DJ. He's young enough, it could be. You never know.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. Anyway. But and because they put out that character poster of Benny, I got a feeling he's not done. I got a feeling we could possibly see this guy again.
I do agree with you, and I know what you're thinking. Yeah.
We shall see. So, but anyway, it's going to be good. He's an interesting character,
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, any other things about the not the crossing, about Retrieval that you want to talk about before we begin to wrap things up here?
No, I feel good about the talking points and what we covered. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. So what we're going to do, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will do our final reactions and our psychology corner and wrap up the show. So hold on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We are just wrapped up our discussion of Retrieval, and we're about to go into our final thoughts and see what happens. So since you started off with the initial reactions, David, I'll kick us off for our final reactions. For me, like I said earlier, it was overall a decent episode. You know, I have said, if you've listened to any of our shows through the 109 episodes we've done, or any of these shows I've done previously, whether it was Resistance reactions or Rebels reactions, I've always stood by the saying and my belief that there's no such thing as a filler episode. And I still honestly believe that. But I can honestly say, for the first time in all my years of watching Star Wars, this is the first episode that's actually challenged that belief for me. Don't get me wrong. I still believe there's no such thing as filler. And I got a feeling if anything's going to come out of this, it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be Benny coming up and playing a role in the future before the end of the series, or we're going to find out Benny is DJ, or the mines, the mineral the mines are producing is going to come into play. One of those things are going to come into play, and that's going to be our connection and why it's not a filler. But it's a hard episode for me. I mean, like I said, I don't like being negative on things. I like being positive. We try to stay as positive as we can. And there were a lot of things in here. Like I said, I liked this exploration of family and home. I liked Gonki being back, some of the comedic elements. I got to say, one of my favorite scenes in the episode, and we didn't talk about it during our talking points, was Hunter going down the exhaust chimney. I mean, to me, I just thoroughly enjoyed that scene. I liked it, especially when he's fighting the droid at the bottom before the exhaust erupts up and basically melts the droid. There were definitely some good things in the episode. But now that this one's over, I really can't wait for the next episode, because I better be better.
Yes.
So how about you, David? What were your final reactions, final thoughts about Retrieval?
Well, right. And just to kind of go off what you said, and our listeners know this, that Aaron and I, we'd like to be positive. People put a lot of work into this stuff, and voice actors and writers and producers, all this kind of stuff. But I mentioned this in my initial reactions. I was less than impressed. I'm just being honest. Less than impressed with this episode. And again, I'm usually pretty positive about Star Wars shows and their episodes, but not this one. After seeing this, I was just kind of like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Much like Aaron said in his initial reactions, I believe, I was on the same page as him. I thought, okay, started off with the crossing. We can get a little bit more complex here. How we're going to do this where they get the Marauder back. It might not even be on the planet. Oh, it's on the planet, and so on and so forth. But, again, that's okay. What do they call it? A mulligan? I would call a mulligan on this one. I do agree with Aaron that we're going to see Benny again. That's one way it won't be a filler episode, as well as that Ipsium. That could come into play to help them maybe in a clone battle against conscripted soldiers and so on and so forth. So it could be tying in that way. But I'll tell you, again, I'll repeat it. I'd rather have 8 really good episodes instead of 16 episodes, and having ones that are like this. And again, I'm just being honest. But those are just some of my, final reactions to this episode. And like Aaron, I can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as you know, people, we grade the episodes like you would get a grade in school, A, B, C, D, or F. And these are going to be interesting grades because, like I said, this really challenged me on this episode to find the things I liked about it. So, and I did find some things about it. There were some good things about it. And don't get me wrong like that. And I'm glad you mentioned it, David. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into these episodes, and you can tell they did the hard work. The animation was awesome. The voice acting was superb. Kevin Kiner's music, perfect as always. So there's a lot of hard work that do go into these episodes. But for me, based on everything that we discussed, to me, this is a hard C. A hard C. How about you, brother?
Absolutely. Yeah. I usually don't go that low. I always feel like I do like B minuses is maybe my lowest, but this for me is absolutely a C as well. Consistent with you. Definitely a C, lowest I've graded. And I do think, you mentioned it earlier, out of last season or, season 1 of the Bad Batch and this is probably, that is the lowest graded one, over those 2 seasons, which isn't bad, right? I mean, just one of these. So, yep, hard C.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a hard C. So perfect. All right. So let us know what you thought of Retrieval. You can do that many, many ways. First off, you can always hit us up on any of our social media accounts. We are on Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod. We are on Instagram and Pinterest, and our show notes housed there on Tumblr. You can leave us comments there as well. And those, you find those at at SW Reactions. Or, of course, you can always email us at any time, swreactions@gmail.com as well. So, David, do you got a psychology corner for us this week?
Oh, I do.
Of course you do.
Yeah, I've been putting this together. In our last episode, I said that I would, cover the last 2 thinking errors. I've been covering those. There was 10 of them total. I had covered 8 of the 10 by December, and then of course, had all this stuff I had to get done in December, January, and even this month, really related to the loss of my mom. So I wanted to cover the last 2 and wrap up this whole kind of series of really helping our listeners understand the type of thinking errors that lead to depression and anxiety. So, all right. So here we go. The 9th thinking error is called labeling and mislabeling. Okay. So this happens when, rather than describing the specific behavior that's bothered you, you assign a label to someone or even yourself, and it puts that person or yourself in absolute and unalterable negative terms, right? Describing behavior is always much better than labeling, I'm horrible, I'm a loser, I'll never succeed, these absolute unalterable terms. So this is an error in logic in that we make a leap from a behavior. For example, he called me a name, to identity. This person, he's a jerk. He's a loser. Those are really broad terms that really attack the person's identity versus focusing in on the behavioral weakness that they had or behavioral problem. To beat this thinking error, remember in previous Psychology Corners, I always describe the thinking error and then ways to beat it. So the ways to beat this, labeling and mislabeling, is when you recognize you are labeling or you are being labeled yourself. And you can ask the question, like, how specifically, like, for example, how specifically am I a jerk? That gets us back to behaviors instead of an identity. right? It's kind of one of the things I've talked about in parenting. It sounds so cliche, but we can say, I don't like the behavior. I love you. I don't like the behavior, right? That preserves identity, right? With my son and daughter, there's many behaviors they've done that I don't like. My wife and I don't like them, but we love our son and daughter. We don't do the labeling to just totally destroy character and so on and so forth. Also remember that who you and others are, what you are in spite of behaviors. Remember what you are at your core and what others are at their core in spite of behaviors. An example of that is, even though I failed the test, I'm still a worthy person. We've all failed tests. We've all gotten things wrong. We've all fallen short. And that's okay. It doesn't mean we have to just do global negative assessments of Aaron and myself and everyone who's listening. Okay? All right. So let's get to the 10th one. Out of 10, here we are. And this thinking error is called personalization and blame. So again, personalization occurs when you hold yourself personally responsible for an event that isn't entirely under your control. Give you an example. My son or daughter is doing poorly in school, so I must be a bad father. Kids have to work at school themselves. It's not just mom and dad, that's personalizing their struggles at school. It might not be all you as a parent. Unfortunately, personalization, it leads to guilt, shame, and feelings of inadequacy. All right. Now, blame is kind of the flip side of personalization. It occurs when you blame others or circumstances for your problems, right? And you overlook the ways that you might be contributing to them. So here's an example of blaming. Quote, the reason my marriage is so lousy is because my spouse is totally unreasonable, right? So there's kind of the opposite of personally, like my marriage is a failure because it's all me, right? No, blame is blaming it all on the other person, all right? Now, again, how do we beat it? To beat this thinking error, ask, how do you know I am to blame, right? If the person, if someone's blaming you, you can ask, how do you know that I'm fully to blame? You can even ask yourself or others, who really is to blame? Let's tease this out. Let's put blame where it belongs, but let's not take it all on or throw it all on someone else if it's not really the truth. For example, I have another little thing here. Another thing to ask is, who or what else is involved in this problem? Instead of just blaming one other person, what's all involved? Also, you can ask this, quote, realistically, how much of this problem is actually my responsibility, unquote. Okay, so those are different ways to address this particular thinking error of blame. So let me just do this in conclusion. So all 10 thinking errors are habits of thinking that can become deeply ingrained, all right, in any of us. The good news is this, is that like any habit, these patterns of thinking can be addressed through awareness, which we did via these psychology corners, right? We made you aware of these 10 thinking errors, and please go back at your leisure. Aaron and I put the psychology corners at the end, listen to the whole episode or listen to that particular psychology corner, followed up with Aaron's Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week, and you're good. But go back and listen and be aware of these thinking errors. And then you can always make the effort to take apart the various thinking errors. And again, in each of those psychology corners, I not only describe the thinking error, but ways to address that thinking error. And so again, hopefully this series of psychology corners, although we had a little big delay between the last one and this one, hopefully this puts a nice cap on it for our listeners and hopefully helps them to be better psychologists and decrease the probability of being depressed and anxious. So there you go, buddy.
Very good. Perfect. And if somebody wants to ask questions about the Psychology Corner or just talk Star Wars in general with you, how would somebody go about doing that, David?
Absolutely. Two different ways. There's Twitter, and I am at David _Modders, MODDERS, and the other is Instagram. I definitely need to get more active there. But that is simply my name. Just look up David Motters, and there I am.
Very good. Very good. Of course, if you want to talk Star Wars with yours truly, the best place to do that is Twitter at TAHarris121079. Can hit me up there, talk Star Wars or anything in general you want. Well, David, as we said at the beginning of the show, we did have some news as well about the month of March, because I know, like I had been asking for a while, and I'm sure you have, and everybody else out there has, wondering, what are we doing for the month of March?
A lot.
That's the understatement of the century, my friend. If you don't know and you aren't aware, the day this episode is released, March 1st, 2023, is a Wednesday. And starting that day, March 1st, 2023, not only are we getting a new episode of The Bad Batch, we are also getting the season premiere of The Mandalorian. And for the month of March, every Wednesday we will get a Bad Batch and a Mandalorian episode. That's a lot of Star Wars to cover. But we have a plan, because, looking at the calendar and all the episodes that are going to be dropping, I got tired just looking at the month of March. I don't know about you, David. But we got a plan, and we want to share that with you so you know what to expect for the month of March. We are going to be doing what we call our March Reactions Madness. What does that mean? That means we're dropping 2 episodes a week, Bubby. That's right. 2 episodes a week. So what to expect on our regular release day, which is Friday, expect the review of the latest episode of The Bad Batch. Then on Monday, the following Monday, you will get the review of The Mandalorian. So Friday, The Bad Batch, Mando Monday, The Mandalorian. Okay. But wait, does that mean we're going to get 2 psychology corners and 2 dad jokes of the week? No, we're not doing that. We could, but honestly, it takes a lot of work. David puts a lot of work into these psychology corners, and have him do it twice a week would just be a lot to ask. And of course, me and my genius dad jokes, you're really pushing the envelope with sanity if you really want to hear 2 a week. But we're not going to do that. What to expect is, with the Bad Batch episode on Friday, you will get a new dad joke of the week. And with the Mandalorian episode review on Monday, you will get the new psychology corner. So it'll be a little broke up, but I think it'll work better. I think y'all will enjoy it. I know we're going to enjoy it, and we're just going to have fun doing it. I mean, it's only going to be. I mean, this overlap only lasts through the month of March, because the last Wednesday in March is the season finale of The Bad Batch. So we have the month of March to get this worked out. So it is our version of March Madness. And by the end of March, we'll probably want a vacation.
That's right. That's right.
So, but no, I think we got it covered where we're not going to be too tired coming out of this. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I really hope y'all enjoy what's coming down the pipe. I've been looking forward to this season of Mandalorian for a while. I'm loving the season of Bad Batch, except this episode we just reviewed. And I'm looking forward to see what the month of March brings for us. How about you, David?
Oh, definitely. I went back and watched the last 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, which brings the Mandalorian, right? Return of the Mandalorian, The next one is what? From the desert, a stranger comes. I think I might be messing that up, but we get Cad Bane in that, and then what was the name of the? Oh God, I'm blocking on the final episode of Boba Fett, but it really shows at the very end Mando and Grogu in the N1 Starfighter, and he's wanting Mando to push the sublight thrusters to just shoot him across. And it ends on that. And so I liked going back and watching those 3 episodes, the last 3 of Book of Boba Fett, 5, 6, and 7, because it really it's so neat to see how they get back together. Grogu's got his little mesh undershirt to protect him, and it was really neat going back and seeing Luke and Ahsoka in those episodes as well. So that was a really I've been wanting to go back to those because I really did want to be prepped up for the premiere of Mandalorian season 3. So I'm really excited about that. I am excited about how Bad Batch is going to go here, particularly that doubleheader to end it. And I'm looking forward to covering all of that with you and doing some psychology corners, doing the dad joke of the week. We'll have Mando Mondays and the Bad Batch on Fridays. So I think this is a good plan for March Reactions Madness.
Very good. Very good. I agree. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I did rewatch both seasons of Mando. I never thought I forgot about the episodes of Boba Fett. I need to go back and rewatch those, at least those 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fully ready before Wednesday. So I'll have to do that. Thanks for reminding me. So hopefully y'all will enjoy it as much as we do. You'll enjoy listening as much as we do making them, because it is a blast and we have fun. So, all right, David, do you know what it's time for?
No, I mean, yes, I do.
Aaron's Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week. Yeah. All right, David, here we go. Right. What was General Grievous's favorite band?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know. What was General Grievous's favorite band?
Weezer. Ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly. Oh, love that band. Weezer. Get it? Because he wheezes. Oh my gosh. He's always hacking up a lung. Weezer. Who doesn't like Weezer?
I'm sorry. But I mean, at least I'm the one enduring it, and all the co-hosts that were on, they are now safe and sound on their own podcasts, and I am here enjoying Aaron's Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week.
Hey, well, you're lucky. I actually had partially rewritten the song Buddy Holly by Weezer just for this joke, and I didn't do it.
Oh my gosh. Thank the stars.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness. All right. Well, if people...
Oh, what the heck? I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh my God.
And it's not July. I just did the chorus. He's like, ooh, ooh, I look just like little Annie. Oh, and you look like Padme. I don't care what they say about us anyway. I just don't like that sand.
Oh my. Like we just lost listeners. We just lost them.
Good night, everybody.
I know.
Here all week.
They're going to think we both are mentally ill, even though, we do a psychology course. Oh my God.
Well, I may have to book an appointment, David.
That's right.
All right. Well, buddy, this has been a blast as always, my friend.
Well, it's good to laugh. It's good to be on. It's good to laugh. I need it. And that's what we said. Podcasting, just have fun, right? We're having fun with it.
Yes, that's exactly it. We have fun doing it, and that's what counts. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the greatest. Y'all endure my jokes and my singing. I can't ask for more than that. Y'all are the best. Be nice. Be kind to somebody. Enjoy The Mandalorian. Enjoy The Bad Batch. We will be back soon with new episodes to review both. Remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.